Well, Arizona has a film culture unlike any other state, including John Wayne westerns, TV classics like Little House on the Prairie and Gunsmoke, and Oscar-winning films like Jerry Maguire, and a recent movie I had a small role in, Hot Bath and a Stiff Drink, too.
Lili DeBarbiebi is the author of a book that takes a look at movies and shows that have been shot right here in Arizona, as well as the state's film culture, and she joins us now. We are so excited about this.
I was too. It was a lot of fun to work on.
And were you always interested in films and movies, or was this just something that, like, as you've grown up, you're like, oh, I wonder how many movies we're actually missing that we don't even realize were shot here?
A combination. I've always been kind of a movie buff, especially classic film buff. You know, growing up, I remember watching films with Montgomery Clift and Elizabeth Taylor, so definitely there was a personal interest there. It was through the book I did on Southern Arizona's historic farms and ranches that really got me kind of interested in this in a more comprehensive and deeper way.
Right. And so, of course, you know, old Tucson comes to mind for most of the TV shows and the movies. But what are some other locations in Southern Arizona that people might not realize, oh, this was in that movie or this was in that show?
Well, there's so many. I mean, the whole city of Tucson and Southern Arizona and really the whole state is kind of like taking a tour around a movie set. Some places that you might know are the historic Barrio, Hotel Congress, the San Rafael Ranch out in Patagonia, Phoenix, Monument Valley. I mean, just looking at all of the filmmaking around the state is quite incredible.
What were some of the movies that were shot here that people don't even really realize?
I think people equate the state with westerns, and certainly that's true. But when I was doing the book, one of the most interesting things about it was the films that were made here that I find most interesting, and I love westerns too, so not knocking them. And I love Hot Bath and a Stiff Drink. Were not westerns at all. Comedies, thrillers, dramas, Traffic, A Kiss Before Dying. The coming-of-age film Spin, which is on TV a lot, was filmed in historic Tucson as well as out in Arivaca. So it's really, as well as going back to silent films prior to 1912. So it's really quite eye-opening and fun to look into.
So what surprised you the most when you were doing your research for the book?
I think what surprised me the most was looking beyond the westerns. I really thought that the book would be kind of a center point, and as I was researching and interviewing people, really it kind of expanded.
So how do you even begin? Like, did you watch all of these movies and you're like, I think that's Tucson?
Yes, it was very hard. I watched many of the films that I wrote about. What was really hard was picking and choosing. I mean, just the sheer amount and wealth of filmmaking and television making that went on in the state. You really had to focus in on certain things. So it was a combination of looking at what was significant, I think historically, as well as in the history of film history, as well as kind of zeroing in on some personal favorites.
I was just
I mean,
you're
human. I mean, what are you going to do? You know, and just meeting the people that have worked on these films and you know just are so dedicated to it. That was not surprising but enjoyable.
Well, I love that you mentioned the film Traffic. I totally forgot about that one.
No, it was just on TV, so.
Oh, was it?
In my mind. Yeah.
And then The Hangover, was that filmed in Nogales, Sonora, or Nogales, Arizona?
Nogales, Arizona. So
okay.
That's, another recent project that, as well as Gravity up in northern Arizona with George Clooney and Sandra Bullock.
That was in northern Arizona?
Yeah, and it just missed the book because of timing. So you go to the theaters and you see our state on screen.
Right.
That is really cool. So now moving forward, do you have like a pulse on some of the movies that are coming to Arizona? Like, I mean, obviously you're probably well connected now.
Yeah, I definitely keep up with Visit Tucson, the Tucson Film Office, and one of the interesting projects that I did with them is working on a walking tour of the city's movie history. So I do keep up with them, and documentary filmmaking is alive and well, and There's a new documentary just coming out, and you're from Bisbee, so you might have heard of this. It's Bisbee. It's an interactive documentary. It was funded by the Arizona Humanities Council.
Oh, cool.
So yes, it's a lot of fun.
That's so cool. I actually haven't heard of that,
Yeah,
but it's very exciting. What do you, in your research, there's been so many films that have actually skipped over Arizona, and New Mexico is drawing them in. Is anybody talking about that, trying to get the production companies to stop one state sooner instead of going through?
Yeah, unfortunately, one of the things that influences filmmaking is obviously the tax incentives and the lack thereof. It's forced a lot of projects to go next door, to go to other countries.
It's crazy.
Which is a little crazy because we are closer to Los Angeles.
Right.
And we have pretty much everything that there is to film here in terms of our natural resources and historic sites and talent as well. There are city-specific tax incentives going that are in the works. It's difficult because some people that I talk to say we lose money, some people say we make money for the local community. It's not the only thing that influences filmmaking. One of the other unfortunate drawbacks is our lack of an indoor filming facility. So that's kind of forced business to go to New Mexico, Albuquerque.
Well, we will just rely on the history of Old Tucson and mezcal and just our beautiful scenery. That's the Hot Bath and Stiff Drink guys just loved our landscape.
Yeah,
so
they're a lot
hopefully
of
more of
fun.
them will see it. And thank you so much, Lily.
Thanks a lot.
Great read.
Thanks so much.
All right, and you can meet the author of this book, Lily, at the Woods Memorial Library on Saturday from 1 to 3. To learn more about the book, just head to historypress.net. Again, that's historypress.net.
Still ahead on the Morning Blend, do you know what to look for in a skin screening? We'll tell you where to learn all about it.
Plus, we're tasting some Mexican moonshine and tell you where you can taste it right after the break.